Hey, what is up guys? Today we're checking out the GameToys, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, 1/6 scale Cloud Strife, and the Player's Kai AC Cloud Strife, and the Remake 2.0 Cloud Strife. So here we have all three figures, and there's quite a big difference between them, so today we will be taking a look. So I hope you guys will enjoy the video, and stay tuned. Okay, so first up, let's take a quick look at the packaging. So here we have the box for the original Player's Kai Cloud Strife from AC. It's a pretty old figure. I think it came out in 2015 if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, I still love these boxes. I love the style of these old Player's Kai figures. They're very very iconic for me, very nostalgic. And here we have the back. Very nice packaging. It's crazy to think that this figure is almost 10 years old. And here we have the box for the GameToys Cloud Strife, which just came out in, I think it's 2023, so it's a pretty recent figure. But anyhow, the box is pretty simple. We have the emblem of Fenrir, and down here, Cloud Strife GameToys, and the rest of the packaging is pretty plain. We just have the 7 emblem on the sides, not much going on in the back, and that's pretty much it. As for the Remake 2.0 Cloud, this is a very nice box. It's probably my favorites out of the three. And I think this figure came out in 2020 during lockdown. So yeah, it's crazy to think that this figure is 4 years old and that the remake is 4 years old. And here's everything that comes with all three figures. So we have the packaging and all the accessories. So here's the Player's Kai AC Cloud Strife. We have the box and the figure and the full fusion blades, and down here we have all the pieces to make up the fusion blades, and we have a couple pairs of hands, and we have a spare arm, and we've also got a Player's Kai stand in the back. As for the GameToys Cloud Strife, we have the packaging, the figure, display stands, we have all these pieces of the fusion blades, we have the cell phone, the display base, the super nice artwork on the front, which goes inside the box. And here we have a couple pairs of hands, and we have some instructions on how to assemble the figure. As for the Remake 2.0 Cloud Strife, we have the figure, we have the Buster Sword on his back, we have the packaging. Down here we have some pairs of hands, we have this piece to hold the Buster Sword onto his back, we have the instructions on how to assemble the figure, and we have the newly developed Player's Kai 2.0 stance. So that's a look at all the accessories. Let's go right ahead and take a look at the figures. Okay, so here we have the figures, and first up, let's just take an overview at how the figures stand next to each other. I mean, the GameToys figure is a much better figure overall. I'm not gonna, pretend that the Player's Kai are on the same level. I mean, the GameToys is on a totally different level from these Player's Kai. But I still love them, and they still hold a special place for me because these are the first figures which I started collecting when it comes to Final Fantasy VII, and I've had the Player's Kai AC figures for such a long time, so for me it just holds more sentimental value. So this is the Player's Kai AC Cloud, and I thought this figure was a pretty good figure when it first came out. I remember thinking the head sculpt was just absolutely amazing, but now that we have the GameToys, I mean, totally different head sculpt. It looks almost realistic. And very, very lifelike. Whereas the Player's Kai looks very plastic. It almost looks cheap now that I see it, which is such a shame because I remember looking at this figure and thinking it was like the best figure that I've ever seen. But I guess with newer figures, your perception does change. So I think this figure was good for the time, but I just don't think it holds up quite as good anymore. And moving on here to the Remake 2.0 Cloud Strife. So this is the second version that they made, which is a much better figure from the first version, which I've actually got right here. I've also got the Cloud Strife and Fenrir at the bottom here. So anyhow, here's a look at the head sculpts. So I think the head sculpt is pretty good. I really don't know why, but the Player's Kai figures, they never look quite as good on video or photos. I really don't understand why, but in person, they actually look very good. And here is the GameToys 1/6 scale AC Cloud Strife. What an amazing figure. I also should mention, in case you guys don't know, that the body of the figure is made entirely out of rubber, which is a really nice touch. So it just means that you can bend the joints and you won't see any of the joints at all. So yeah, very big difference on this head sculpt on this GameToys Cloud Strife compared to the Players Kai AC Cloud Strife and the remake 2.0 Cloud Strife. Very big difference. I mean, there's no contest here. It's a clear winner. This is the much better figure. So I mean, if you guys want a screen accurate Cloud Strife, then I would say definitely pick up this figure. You won't find any other Cloud Strife figure that's better. So here we have the hand holding this part of the fusion blade, which you can connect up. It is pretty tricky. Whereas on the Players Kai version, the fusion blade is just one solid piece. And even the boots are made of real material. I think they're made out of pleather. They're kind of shiny in the lights. And down here we have the mobile phone, which is pretty cool because we actually have some detail inside the screen, and it can actually flip up. And here's a look at the figures from the back. And let's go right ahead and take a look at the Players Kai AC Cloud Strife first of all. So here's a look at the back of the hairpiece. I mean, I think the sculpting on the paint job is pretty good on the Players Kai figures. It still holds up. And here's how it looks on the back of the GameToys, which has a much more matte finish to the paint job. It looks very dry, whereas the paint job on the Players Kai figures, it looks very glossy, it looks almost wet, which I'm not really sure if I like. It's kind of like an old style that they had back then, which I don't think holds up all that well in these days. And here's a look at the fusion blade on the back of the holster. And as I mentioned before, it's made of one solid piece, so you cannot detach the blades. All the blades come separately. And here's the back of the GameToys Cloud Strife. There's even magnets on the blades to hold them together once you connect them up, which is a pretty nice feature. And here's a close-up on the holster, which I think, just like the boots, is also made out of pleather. And here's the back of the remake 2.0 Cloud Strife. And we have this amazing looking Buster Sword on the back of the figure, which is held in place by this tiny little peg on the Buster Sword. And here's the hairpiece. I mean, as I mentioned, it's a good sculpt, but it just needs a bit of a paint job. And here's the back of the shoulder pad with all those cool, bolts and nuts sculpted in there. And here's the back of the leg piece, which is a much different design from the AC figures. But anyhow, that's a look at the back of all three figures. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for the GameToys and Players Kai Cloud Strife figures. So yeah, I really hope this comparison review helped. I mean, these are all great figures. If you guys want to pick up figures that are a bit more affordable, then I would say go for the Players Kai figures. But if you guys want figures that are, screen accurate, then definitely pick up the GameToys. But just bear in mind, this figure is super expensive. It's I would say it's almost double or triple the price as these Players Kai figures. And it's also becoming pretty rare to find. So I would say pick up this figure as soon as possible, because it's not going to last very long and it's already becoming pretty rare. If you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to ring that bell notification. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy, guys.